Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's NCUA webinar on the new Cyber Incident Reporting Rule. I'm George Kodia, an Instructional Systems Specialist in the Office of Credit Union Resources and Expansion at the NCUA, and I'll be your moderator for today's program. Before we begin, I have a few administrative announcements. If you're having any problems hearing my voice, please adjust the volume on your computer. And if you still are having problems, use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your console and send a message to our support team, and we will help you right away. Please make sure that you allow pop-ups from the site. In approximately 2 weeks, the webinar will be closed captioned for on-demand viewing in the NCUA Learning Management System. You'll be able to view and review the webinar and download a PDF version of the presenters' PowerPoint presentations. We have an NDI Symposium on October 3rd and 4th. This exclusive event will feature engaging discussions and collaborative working sessions. You can use the QR code on the screen to register and to get additional information. These previous webinars have been uploaded to the NCUA Learning Management System and are available for viewing. Our next webinar is on August 24th, and the topic is Strategic Partnering, a Conversation with Credit Union Leagues. For today, we'll start with introductory remarks by the Director of Resources of the Office of Credit Union Resources and Expansion. I'll introduce the presenter, and then we'll have the webinar begin. And then afterwards, we'll have a Q&A, and then there'll be the closing of the webinar. Christy, I'll turn it over to you right now.
Great. Thank you very much, George. I'm Christy Hovis. I'm the Director of Resources at the Office. I'm the Director of Resources at the Office of Credit Union Resources and Expansion, and responsible for all the training development courses that CURE has to offer. What's really excited about our programs is that we actually consolidate and have over 200 courses that are free and available to all the credit unions that range from everything from helping do audits to copies of our board meetings. I really would recommend, if you haven't been on our LMS website before, to check it out. It's obvious that this topic, I'm really excited about introducing this topic today, because it's obvious that we have a large amount of participants. Over 800 of you are online, so I'm going to keep it short and brief, but we're looking forward to learning more about the rule, and I'll let Christina take it from there. George?
Thank you, Christy. Our presenter today is Krishna Saari, an Information Systems Officer with the National Credit Union Administration. In this position, she provides policy analysis with respect to cybersecurity, supply chain risk management, and other technology supervision matters. She previously served NCUA as a Senior Intelligence Officer. Prior to joining NCUA, she was the Director for Prioritization and Modeling at the Office of Cyber and Infrastructure Analysis at the Department of Homeland Security. In this position, she led a team which conducted modeling, simulation, and analysis of the national critical infrastructure. In previous positions at DHS, she served as the Collection Operation Manager for Open Source, DHS Counterintelligence Liaison to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Acquisitions Risk Directorate, and developing the DHS Internal Cybersecurity Cyber Supply Chain Risk Management Program. In addition, She conducted national security audit of foreign investment as part of the Committee of Foreign Investment in the United States. Now we have a polling question that we would like you to answer for us so we can determine the credit unions that are represented here today. We sure do have a good mix of credit unions. All right. Thank you. We'll close the poll right now. Thank you. Our presentation will now begin.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this presentation on the new NCUA cyber incident reporting requirements going into effect September 1st, 2023. Today, I'll be providing an overview of the new rule, clarifying key definitions, discussing the reporting framework, and identifying key steps you should take to ensure compliance. First, let's start with some background on the new regulation. As many of you know, the NCUA board approved a provision to 12 CFR 748.1 titled Cyber Incident Notification Requirements for Federally Insured Credit Unions. The new rule requires a federally insured credit union to notify the NCUA as soon as possible, but within 72 hours after it reasonably believes that a reportable cyber incident has occurred. The rule is effective September 1st, 2023. This notification requirement provides an early alert to the NCUA and does not require a credit union to provide a detailed incident assessment to the NCUA within the 72-hour timeframe. We are aware that during a reportable cyber incident, credit unions will be focused on recovery, and thus the agency will generally limit contact during such incidents to minimize burden on credit unions. The NCUA published this rule to enhance cybersecurity across all credit unions. By requiring notification of a reportable cyber incident within 72 hours, the goal is to better understand threats, provide guidance to affected entities, and coordinate rapid response. This ultimately reduces risk exposure for individual credit unions and the entire industry. In order for an incident to fall under the Cyber Incident Notification Requirements rule, it must meet the first threshold. Is it a cyber incident? The rule defines a cyber incident as an occurrence that actually or imminently jeopardizes, without lawful authority, the integrity, confidentiality, or availability of information on an information system, or actually or imminently jeopardizes, without a lawful authority, an information system. However, just because something is a cyber incident does not mean it is automatically reported to the NCUA. There are additional criteria. Now let's dive into NCUA's definition of a reportable cyber incident. The first prong of a reportable cyber incident definition requires a credit union to report a cyber incident that leads to a substantial loss of confidentiality, integrity, or availability of a member information system as a result of the exposure of sensitive data, disruption of vital member services, or have a serious impact on the safety and resiliency of operational systems and processes. For example, if a federally insured credit union becomes aware that sensitive data is unlawfully accessed, modified, or destroyed, or if the integrity of a network or member information system is compromised, the cyber incident is reportable. There are also many technical reasons why services may not be available at any given time. For example, computer servers are offline for maintenance or systems are being updated. Such events are routine and thus would not be reportable to the NCUA. However, an unexpected malfunction that disrupts member account access for a significant period of time would be reportable under this prong. The second prong of the reportable cyber incident definition requires reporting to the NCUA when a cyber attack disrupts business operations, vital member services, or member information system. For example, a distributed denial of service attack that disrupts member account access that leads to substantial system outages is reportable under this prong. However, cyber events such as block phishing attempts, failed attempts to gain access to systems, or unsuccessful malware attacks would not be reportable. The third prong of the reportable cyber incident definition requires a federally insured credit union to notify the agency either when a third-party service provider informs the credit union that the credit union's sensitive data or business operations have been compromised or disrupted as a result of a cyber incident experienced by the third-party service provider, or upon the credit union forming a reasonable belief that this has occurred, whichever occurs sooner. Please note, if a credit union experiences a reportable cyber incident, that incident would be reported under the requirements of this rule. However, there may continue to be incidents that do not trigger reporting under this rule, but that involve unauthorized access to or use of sensitive member information under 748. In such cases, credit unions can continue to rely on the framework in Appendix B, and you would be notifying the appropriate NCUA regional director. Appendix B also reflects NCUA's interpretation of the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act's security program requirement, which includes notifying its member of a security incident involving the unauthorized access or use of the member's information. The definition of a reportable cyber incident is intended to capture the reporting of substantial cyber incidents. A credit union's determination of substantial depends on a variety of factors, including size of credit union, scale of attack, duration of attack, number of records compromised, criticality of affected systems or data, and type of cyber attack. The NCUA expects a credit union to exercise reasonable judgment in determining whether it experienced a substantial cyber incident that is reportable to the agency. However, if a credit union is unsure as whether a cyber incident is reportable, they should contact the NCUA as soon as possible. Let's discuss some examples to make identification of reportable incidents more clear. A ransomware attack encrypting critical systems. Network intrusion leading to bank fraud and wire loss transfer. A distributed denial of service attack causing prolonged outage of online banking. Malware giving attacker access to employee credentials. Reportable cyber incidents would also include data breach exposing a substantial amount of employee PII, a phishing attack resulting in successful installation and execution of malware, theft or loss of unencrypted device containing sensitive information, a compromise of an online banking platform or mobile application, unauthorized altercation or destruction of financial data, third-party notification to a credit union that the third party has experienced a breach of credit union sensitive member information, member information compromised because of card skimming at a credit union's ATM, and finally, a misconfiguration of information systems such as application program interfaces, databases, storage accounts, exposing a substantial amount of sensitive member information. Now let's discuss some non-reportable cyber incidents. A brief system disruption from technical malfunction, an unsuccessful phishing email blocked by filters, a denial of service attack with minimal impact on service availability, isolated incidents of misdirected email with no significant impact. However, if there's any uncertainty, it is best to notify the NCUA. The rule requires a federally insured credit union that experiences a reportable cyber incident to report the incident to the NCUA as soon as possible and no later than 72 hours after the credit union reasonably believes that it experienced a reportable cyber incident. The 72 hours begins when the credit union reasonably believes a reportable cyber has taken place. When a federally insured credit union receives a notification from a third party that sensitive data has been compromised or business operations have been disrupted due to a cyber incident, the credit union has 72 hours to report to the NCUA. This time frame starts from the moment the credit union receives notification from the third party or when the credit union forms a reasonable belief that such an incident has occurred, whichever is sooner. Credit unions do not need to conduct a full forensics investigation or confirm every detail before notifying the NCUA. Our goal is prompt notification, not comprehensive incident reports. The NCUA will soon be publishing guidance in letters to credit unions. The letter will have all of the reporting information in this presentation plus additional details. We will be incorporating the questions and feedback from this presentation into the letter to make sure the rule and reporting instructions are clear. To report a cyber incident, credit unions may notify the NCUA through one of the following channels. You may call the NCUA at 1-833-CYBER-CU or 1-833-292-3728 and leave a voicemail. Or you may use the National Credit Union Administration Secure Email Message Center to send a secure email to cybercu@ncua.gov. The NCUA new cyber incident reporting framework will not be available until September 1st, 2023. Until then, please contact your regional director to report any cyber incidents. You may recognize the NCUA Secure Email Message Center as the NCUA Zix portal. You must use this portal when reporting by email. Even if you have the Zix plugin, you must use this portal. To use the portal, first navigate to the Secure Email Message Center. Then compose an email. Fill in the to-line with cybercu@ncua.gov and put your credit union name and charter number in the subject field. Provide the reporting elements in the body of the email. We will be attaching detailed instructions on what to report and how to use secure email message in the forthcoming letter to credit unions. When reporting, you should be prepared to provide the following information to the extent it is known at the time of reporting. The NCUA will be providing a quick reference card with this information to facilitate reporting, so no need to memorize. And all of these elements are applicable when reporting either by email or by voicemail. First, we need the reporter name and title, which is the name of the individual reporting the incident. A callback number, which is the telephone number for the NCUA to contact regarding the incident. A charter number without any leading zeros. The credit union name, the name of the affected credit union. The date and time identified, which is the date and time the credit union reasonably believed a reportable cyber incident took place, and an incident description. In addition to those basics, please include in the description the following elements. What services were impacted? Online banking, ATM network, email systems? What data was stolen, if any? Was it sensitive member information, PII, or other sensitive data? What impact did it have on operations? Was there a system outage, a service disruption? And remember, while some details may be unavailable or uncertain in the beginning, reporting should not be delayed. At the time of initial notification, do not send the NCUA sensitive, personally identifiable information, specific indicators of compromise, specific vulnerabilities, or email attachments. If we require additional information, we will contact you. To ensure compliance with the new rule, prudent credit unions will complete the following steps when implementing. Update your response plan. A critical step for compliance is updating your cyber incident response plan and procedures to integrate NCUA's 72-hour reporting requirement. Review your existing incident response plan and update it to align it with the new rule. This includes incorporating the reporting requirement timeframes and procedures for notifying the NCUA. Ensure that your plan includes clear guidelines for identifying reportable incidents and escalation procedures for notifying management and the NCUA. Review your contracts. Given the risks of incidents stemming from third parties, review your contracts with critical service providers. Verify there are notification requirements in case of an incident that could impact your systems or data. Train employees. Provide training to all employees, emphasizing the importance of reporting cyber incidents and the potential consequences of noncompliance. Ensure that employees understand their role in identifying and reporting incidents and provide them with necessary resources and guidance. Monitor and review. Once incident response plans are updated, conduct periodic tests and exercises to evaluate the efficiency of your incident response plan and reporting procedures. Use lessons learned from these exercises to make improvements and keep your plan up to date. Document all incidents. Document all cyber incidents regardless of whether they meet the reporting criteria, and maintain records in accordance with your retention policies. This documentation will be crucial and will serve as a valuable resource for future incident response and reporting efforts, while also providing an audit trail to support management's reporting decisions. In summary, maintain open communication channels with your examiner regarding the new rule, your credit union's implementation measures, and any questions that arise. Be familiar with NCUA guidance like the Cybersecurity Resources webpage and reference during response. If ever in doubt whether a particular incident rises to the level of requiring notification, err on the side of reporting it to the NCUA within 72 hours. If you need guidance, reach out to your examiner. While this regulation creates new responsibilities, it provides substantial benefits, including improved security programs, coordinated industry-wide response, reduced risk exposure, and meeting legal obligations around reporting. That covers the key details regarding the new cyber incident reporting requirements. Remember, the NCUA will soon be publishing more detailed instructions. I appreciate you taking the time for this overview and want to open it up now for your questions.
Thank you, Christina, for that very useful information on the new cyber incident reporting rule. We'll provide contact detail. We'll provide contact information at the end of this webinar, so you will know how to contact us. Now I would like to call on John Myers, who will read out the questions that we have received. Over to you, John.
Thanks, George. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, you might have to mute yourself. Thank you. Yeah, we do have some questions coming in. I'll take those and push them to the right people. Most of them are probably going to go to Christina. Christina, the first one is for you. Must we use the NCUA secure email message center to email the NCUA about a cyber incident?
Sure, thanks for the question, John. Yes, you must use the NCUA secure email message center to ensure the NCUA receives your secure notification. Even if you have the Zixit plugin or other encryption methods, you must use the NCUA secure email message center, or you can just call us at 1-833-CYBER-CU to report an incident.
Thank you. Here's another one for you. If a credit union experiences a reportable cyber incident and sensitive member information is stolen, which framework do I use to report the incident?
Sure. So if a reportable cyber incident occurs, even one that does involve sensitive member information, a credit union reports it using the framework in this rule. So that means they must report it within that 72-hour time frame, using the telephone number and the secure email message or the secure email message sender. However, Appendix B is still continuing to reflect NCUA's interpretation of GLBA and their security program requirements, which means that credit unions still need to conduct a risk assessment and notify its members of a security incident involving the unauthorized access or use of members' information.
Thank you. We do have another one. Can a third party report on a credit union's behalf?
So yes, under the rule, the obligation still is going to be that the credit unions need to report. However, a credit union may have a third party report the incident to NCUA. Now, NCUA may not contact that third party back. However, we do reserve the right to go back to the credit union and follow up with them if we have any questions.
Thank you. Here's another one. If this rule doesn't go into effect until September 1st, how should we report incidents until then?
Sure. So the email and the telephone number will not work until September 1st. So until that time, still continue to report to your regional director regarding any type of cyber incident.
Thank you. Here's a related one. What are the hours of operations of the NCUA hotline?
So our hotline is 24/7. It is an automated system, so you will not be speaking to a live person. You will just be putting in your credit union number and leaving a voicemail.
Thank you. Here's another one. Will there be a letter to credit unions on the requirements of the new rule?
Yes, credit unions should be expecting the NCUA to publish that letters to credit unions very soon.
Okay, thank you. Let me read through some of these. I want to see if there's anything else we missed. I really don't see any more, George, if you want to take it from here. What I can tell everybody before we go is hold on, George. We are we're going to end the question session and answer, except we will take questions we do have, and we'll incorporate those answers and responses into future communications to credit unions. So if there are any later in the day, we will address those in communications to the industry at a future time. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We were unable
Hello, everyone. Thank you for.
Here's the contact details for E&I. If you have additional questions and or email that you may want to send or ask or verify, you can send it to these. This is all the time that we have for our webinar today. I would like to thank our support team, John Myers and Franz, and thank you again for joining us. This is how you can contact E&I if you have additional questions. And if you need to contact our Cure office, I'll put up the slide in a second. This concludes our webinar for today. Have a good afternoon.